Godly Dad. Welcome to the channel. The appeal to fear fallacy. The appeal to fear fallacy is also known as the argumentum ad baculum. In Latin, baculum means stick or club. A person using this fallacy attempts to persuade others by arousing their fears. It is not the fallacy appeal to fear if there is a threat involved. For instance, if someone said, "Buy this candy or I will hit you," this is wrong, but it's not an appeal to fear. It is also not the fallacy appeal to fear to point out realistic danger. To warn someone not to stand too close to the edge of a cliff is not an appeal to fear. Anytime someone attempts to create unrealistic fear in an argument, this fallacy is committed.
Seattle's pledged to defund its police department by 50%, even including a proposal to remove 911 dispatchers from police control.
Joe Biden said he's absolutely on board with defunding the police. Listen closely.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello, you've reached 911. I'm sorry that there is no one here to answer your emergency call, but leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Crime will rise significantly.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
This anti-Biden campaign ad attempts to arouse the fear of potential voters. The ad wants you to be afraid of a world led by Joe Biden.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, 9.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
These are the stakes. To make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other, or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
Daisy is a famous political ad from 1964 which powerfully portrays that the stakes for not voting for President Johnson would potentially be nuclear war. The appeal to fear fallacy is when a person ignores the argument and instead attempts to persuade others by arousing unrealistic fears. The appeal to pity fallacy. The appeal to pity fallacy is an argument that dodges the question at hand and instead appeals to our sense of compassion. Compassion can be an appropriate tool to motivate. When a charity appeals to our compassion in order to move us to help those in need, it is not the appeal to pity fallacy. The appeal to pity fallacy is committed when compassion is used to distract from the original argument.
Think about what it must feel like to send off your first grader, little backpack maybe on his or her back, and then the next thing you hear is that somebody has come to that school using an automatic weapon, an AR-15, and murdered those children. Now, they are trying to prevent that from happening to any other family. And the best way to do that is to go right at the people who you talk about corporate greed. The gun manufacturers sell guns to make as much money as they can make.
In this clip, rather than offering a rational argument for tougher restrictions on automatic weapons, Hillary Clinton paints a word picture with the goal of sparking the emotion of pity towards the hypothetical child she has fashioned.
What would you advise to a young woman who's not married, who gets raped, but does not have access to an abortion, as I think that's something that you believe in? No abortions, right?
Yes, I'm pro-life, yeah.
Okay, so then what would you advise that woman to do?
Okay, so first of all, I do appreciate that you've created the saddest possible scenario for a living human. Is she also disabled? Let's really go whole hog, and she has breast cancer as well. So it's as long as we're creating imaginary victims. But you know, the answer is that doesn't actually change the calculus, meaning that obviously what happened to this person is an awful, awful, horrible thing. And as I said earlier, the person who raped her should be tracked down, captured, killed, or castrated. So that's number one. As far as the morality of abortion does not change based on need, right? So the fact that she's poor and needs an abortion doesn't change whether she was rich or needs an abortion or poor, because the abortion argument really comes down to, do you think this is a life or not? If you don't think it's a life, you can do whatever you want with it. If you think it's a life, you can't do anything with it.
In this clip, Ben Shapiro is questioned about Planned Parenthood and abortion. The questioner creates a pathetic hypothetical character in the hope that compassion for the character will influence the answer. Shapiro draws attention to it and laughs it off. The appeal to pity fallacy is an argument that avoids the issue by appealing to the emotion of pity. Mob appeal. The mob appeal fallacy is also known as the argumentum ad populum. The Latin phrase ad populum means to the people. The mob appeal fallacy is an argument that ignores the topic and instead attempts to distract by exploiting the crowd's desire to be part of the majority or to have the interest of the common man. People committing this fallacy seek to convince you that their view is the popular one and that the people side with them.
You got another Diet Pepsi?
More people are moving to Diet Pepsi. A generation ahead.
In this commercial, the makers of Pepsi don't tell you why their soda is better. They simply want you to know that more people drink their soda. Their hope is that you will want to be part of the crowd and drink Pepsi as well.
Got to talk about Paul Ryan.
Okay.
So he says you have to earn his support.
I really think I earned the support from the people. You know, we've gotten more votes than anybody in this position that's ever run for the office. And if you look at the Republican primary votes, millions and millions of people came in that nobody expected, and they voted for me.
So what are you going to tell them in that meeting?
I'm going to say, look, this is what the people want.
In this clip, President Donald Trump is asked to talk about why Paul Ryan should support him. He argues that Ryan should support him because he received more votes than anyone, that millions and millions of people want him, and simply that this is what the people want. At no point does President Trump offer a rational argument for why Paul Ryan should support him. The mob appeal fallacy is an argument that distracts by making the audience want to be part of the crowd. The snob appeal fallacy. The snob appeal fallacy distracts from the argument and makes the audience want to be part of the elite. It is an argument that ignores the issue by appealing to the listener's desire to be unique or special. This fallacy is used in debate when someone implies that only those with discriminating taste or the intelligent few agree with them. People committing the snob appeal fallacy seek to distract you from the issue by claiming that their view is the view of the select few.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
In this commercial, Grey Poupon Mustard, in a tongue-in-cheek manner, tries to convince customers that their mustard is best. They do not do this by arguing the positives of their product, but instead argue that their product is the choice of those with discriminating taste. The snob appeal fallacy is an argument that distracts by exploiting the audience's desire to want to feel special or unique. The appeal to illegitimate authority. The appeal to illegitimate authority or appeal to false authority is an argument that distracts by attempting to shame the listener into agreeing by citing an authority that is not an expert. This fallacy is committed when people make an appeal to an expert that is not really an expert. People make an appeal to an expert who is so biased toward a viewpoint that the expert cannot be considered trustworthy. People make an appeal to an unnamed expert. People make an appeal to a celebrity as an expert.
Many people don't even notice that they have symptoms, and then they might spread the virus without even knowing it. And there, especially we young people have a very big responsibility, because we aren't usually the ones in the most risk. We might not experience the symptoms as bad as many others. So we have to be extra careful, because our actions can be the difference between life and death for many others.
In this clip, CNN uses Greta Thunberg as an expert on the 2020 coronavirus. Greta Thunberg is a climate change activist. She is not an expert on climate change, and certainly not an expert on the coronavirus. This is an example of a false expert.
Hello, this is Robert De Niro. We all need to stay home. We need to stop the spread of this virus, and we can only do it together.
For all you young people out there who think that it's business as usual, it's not. We really have to all stay at home.
And young people can get it, and they can transmit it to old people, and the next thing you know, I'm out of there.
In this clip, multiple celebrities are urging people to stay home because of the coronavirus. They are treated as experts simply because of their fame. These celebrities have the right to express their opinions, but to treat them as experts is an example of a celebrity expert. The appeal to illegitimate authority is an argument that distracts by attempting to shame the listener into agreeing, by citing a false expert, a bias expert, an unnamed expert, or a celebrity expert. Chronological snobbery. The chronological snobbery fallacy is an argument that distracts by rejecting or accepting a belief or practice merely on its age. This fallacy can involve either new or old ideas. To distract by making the audience want to repel new beliefs or ideas is called the appeal to tradition. To distract by making the audience want to repel old beliefs or ideas is called the appeal to novelty. The chronological snobbery fallacy is an argument that distracts by making the audience want to be either part of an old tradition or part of the latest new thing.
Wow. Wow.
In this commercial, you see the sleek new 2016 Buick. The commercial ends with the tagline, "Not your grandpa's Buick," implying that an older Buick would be slower, uglier, and outdated. There might be evidence that this car is better, but to claim that it's better solely because it's newer is an appeal to novelty and a violation of the chronological snobbery fallacy.
They're making it more complicated as far as I'm concerned. 4 and 4, 8. If you're not sure, get an 8 box. There's 4 more. Count them up, they're 8. I think that before you institute a system, be sure that it's had good fortune. And I don't think they waited long enough for this Common Core to produce something outstanding so that we could say, I think we should do that.
In this clip, you hear a 100-year-old teacher argue against Common Core math. She argues that this new math has not had enough time to be proven and the old way makes more sense. There may be a valid argument that Common Core is flawed, but to argue against it merely because it is new is an appeal to tradition and a violation of the chronological snobbery fallacy.
Are you bothered by remakes of classic films of yours like Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
I think it's an insult, and it's probably Warner Brothers' insult, I think. I like Warner Brothers for other reasons, but to do that with Johnny Depp, who I think is a good actor, and I like him, but I don't care for that director, and he's a talented man, but I don't care for him for doing stuff like he did.
In this clip, you hear Gene Wilder's frustration with the 2005 remake of the 1971 movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He implies that it is an insult to think anything could be better. His argument is an appeal to tradition and a violation of the chronological snobbery fallacy. The chronological snobbery fallacy is an argument that distracts by rejecting or accepting a belief or practice merely based on its age. Please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. It's so nice when you share. Thanks for visiting. Classically, Dad.